So Gene Deal is speaking out again today and discussing in depth about these freak-offs and naming other musicians and rappers. Hey guys, it's Morali. Hopefully you guys are all doing well today. Back again with another video. If you have not subscribed, guys, click that button for daily and consistent content. Subscribe. Daily and consistent, guys. What? I'm just so tired. I don't even know what to say, y'all. Comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get straight into this video. So, okay, Gene Deal is speaking. Now, this person is interviewing him called Art of Dialogue. You can see him in the back. I literally just watched the video. He's releasing it in very short clips on a daily basis. So rather than him releasing the entire interview, it's just certain clips. Now, I'm not mad at that because it helps to keep momentum on this conversation. And in this video, he details these freak-offs and what Diddy likes, and that he is a huge fan of BBCs, and that he tells Cassie to search for BBCs or men that have BBCs, and that when these men would obviously find her, these men in these freak-offs, they would all wear masks, so their faces would be hidden. Not only that, but the lawyers, Cassie's lawyers, kept a lot of the information out about these freak-offs, in that he would partake in all of these BBCs as well. Not just Cassie, it would be him, it would be a dual thing. Rather, the lawsuit made it look like he was witnessing or being a voyeur, when not only that, but allegedly he would partake and he would be able to do, whatever he wants with these BBCs alongside Cassie, and that, it would be quite aggressive in nature. Cassie obviously did not want to be there, and these men had their faces covered up so Cassie could not identify them and reach out to them or speak to them or even name them in their lawsuit. So therefore he thought way ahead. Not only that, but Gene mentions that he tried to get Chris Brown, in these parties, not only in the parties, but to be intimate with him. Not only that, but there was a group called B5, and yet again, it just goes to show you, we've seen the videos of him and Bieber and how creepy they look as well, the conversations with Usher as well, and then you have, this conversation about trying to get Chris Brown, which I think was there before, then the kids from B5, then all the people at Bad Boy that he's messed the hell up, then he's currently been with Young Miami, everything going on with Cassie. Every single person this person is around, he's trying to lure them in, groom them, use them, exploit them. And basically, he did that to Cassie, exploited her for this weird ritual, kink-related stuff where she was hired, to do a lot of this, forced race play scenes where she had to sit there and say, oh, I must love this big black D, or this black this, or this that, or I don't know if she was even used to say slurs or whatever, but this is insane. And unfortunately, guys, I can absolutely relate to this. I've been in that position, homeless, and I've been drugged, I've been beaten by men, and hired and forced into doing like race play related stuff. And it's a shame that people don't question why men in their 40s are hiring 19-year-old boys and girls for their sick, twisted fantasies, and yet the men just get away with it. And I feel like in this instance, Diddy is finally, but after how long? And this is what pisses me off, and I don't want to go on another rant again because I want to make these videos short, but it really goes to show you how sick and twisted a lot of these people are. They use their power to get people and hire workers and project their kinks and fantasies on them and force them to play out these roles. It's so triggering when you've been in that position where you have been beaten, when you have been R-worded, when you have been forced to take drugs and you are dissociated, and you have to do these sick, weird kind of like, kink scenes, or, the race play stuff, or wearing the masks, or the cat, or whatever the hell she was doing in those scenarios. You don't forget these things. It's so traumatizing that at some point, you kind of do forget it and pretend it doesn't even exist. But it's so traumatizing. I don't think people understand that. And so I'm so vouching for Cassie. She has my full support here, because I can absolutely relate to a T to what she was doing. Unfortunately, me as a man, I'm not going to be given that same perception of being, exploited and manipulated as a young girl and, as a young boy. I feel like young boys with grown men, the young boys don't seem to be seen as exploited unless you're white. Unless you're a white boy, brown and black boys in that young vulnerable position are seen as masculine and grown up and etc. And I feel like as a young girl, it's easier to identify the power dynamics. I'm not saying that there's no struggle for young girls in any capacity of perception, but when it comes to a young boy and a grown man, the power dynamics are more blurred. They're not seen as much. But when it's a young girl and an old man, the power dynamics seem to be more apparent. So it's just so triggering for me, this whole situation, and the fact that, he's given details with other rappers and musicians that he tried to, lure in, the fact that he would wear these masks. Now, this is where I have to start spinning my chair, because I've just come up with the theory and it's really making me just go mad. So let me just spin my chair for a minute. these men who wore these masks, perhaps Diddy asked them to wear these masks so that they wouldn't be identified, evidently. But what if these men in these masks were other musicians? What if they were executives? What if they were private, or public mentors? What if they were some part of the elites? What if, what if, they are people that are recognizable and essentially they are using this particular vulnerable girl, Cassie, and they are all trafficking her? What if they're not all workers? What if, in some instances they were workers, but in some instances P. Diddy knew people, and that's why in these particular podcasts he's saying, why don't you party with me? Why don't you party with me? I'll show you X, Y, Z. And then that's what he does with the elites and etc. And why I believe he could be a trafficker, allegedly, is that he could say to them, hey, I've got this cute girl, all wear masks so you don't get me seen, and let's use her and do stuff. So that's why I think it can go left, and that's also a huge part of it that I think was left out in the lawsuit. That is my theory. It's alleged, it's not true, but that is what I believe to be, is that something as deep like that, to really detail the levels of trafficking, is, presented in that way. Because I know how these men operate. Believe me, I know. There's a whole scandal that I went through last year, and with the multiple men, a lot of them knew each other. And they would basically pass me around left, right, and center at that age. And, it's the connection that you think that they wouldn't even have. Like, it's insane. So I think that these men knew each other who wear masks so that they wouldn't be identified. And I feel like these masks were white, probably masks, or masks that are steel, something creepy as fuck. Also, he described that, the lights would be off, only candles, so you still can't see their faces. How disgustingly awful is that to have as a memory? How can she sleep at night? I don't understand. It's insane. It is insane to deal with stuff like that on a basis. So he's really coming through and exposing these freak-offs, mentioning other, industry people that he tried to lure in. And I don't doubt any of this. I'm so sorry. We've seen the videos with him and Bieber stuttering, looking so young and etc. And him obviously salivating. It's just nasty, guys. I just don't have any words. Like, it's a traumatic conversation. It is very triggering. It does trigger me, guys, but it's not going to stop me from producing content and etc. Like, I'm wired like that. And I feel like me doing these daily content and videos is a testament of my, how hard I work, which is rooted in my trauma. So I feel like working hard is a trauma response. And, because it's built in fear. I don't want to go back to a life where, I'm vulnerable to these men and, they could be drugging me again, beating me up and finding where I live and etc, etc, etc. And I'm dramatizing it in my head. But that is a trauma response. And therefore, that's why I work very hard to maintain a different life, that I don't want to go back to XYZ. But I'm dramatizing it in my head through anxiety, because I'm not going to go back to that, God forbid. But that's what trauma does. So it's so deeply wired. It is insane that daily activities, you don't even know that comes from trauma. You have to do the work. So I can't even imagine what Cassie is going through and how she's acting, what she does, how she copes. Because let's be real, therapy is not something that fixes you. It just helps you address situations, makes you deal with it better and approach things better, but it doesn't fix an issue. You deal with it until the day you're in your grave. So I just feel for Cassie in this moment of time. I really do. The more I hear about these freak-offs, they are just triggering, and I can't even fathom. I mean, I can understand what she's going through. Let's keep it buck. I can absolutely understand. But the fact that he tried to get Chris Brown and the young B5 boys as well, sickening. This man is twisted, bro. This man is twisted. And something tells me that he's not going to end up behind bars. And he also exposes the fact that all these industry boys and girls that he's seen with all know about what he's doing. So that would also, allude to the fact that Jay-Z probably knew, Beyonce probably knew, because they're around P. Diddy a lot. Let's keep it real. They're around P. Diddy a lot. We've seen them in multiple stuff and etc. And he basically says that they all knew what P. Diddy liked to do. And they liked to get other men to do X, Y, Z. He liked to have those secret parties. So did they all know what was going on with Cassie? I just don't understand. There's too many questions. I'm tired. Anyways, subscribe to the channel. Click that button, guys. It is daily and consistent content. And I'll catch you guys soon for another video.